Hello, hello, your face once more. We are at Byland Abbey. And what's amazing about this place is it's just 10 minutes away from the other one. Byland was probably the most ambitious cistercian abbey built in England during the 12th century. It was designed to accommodate about 100 monks and 200 lay brothers, and its church was larger than many contemporary cathedrals. The Byland community only found its permanent home after numerous moves, yet it rose to become one of the largest Cistercian abbeys in Britain. The great western entrance to the church is clearly visible, with to the right there remains the west range of the cloister, which contains storage cellars, and above the lay brothers' dormitory.
1350 or whatever it was, but there weren't the people anymore.
Yeah.
After the Black Death, this was full before it came, and afterwards there was only about 8 months left.
Jesus.
The infection got in,
Yeah.
and everyone died.
God.
So, and it never really recovered the numbers. It may well. I mean, there is a convent in Wasp round the corner,
Yeah.
which is about 40 years old now. So there might be a smaller thing, but it would never be as big as this.
God, you wouldn't have thought, the Black Death would have had that much of an effect, would you?
Oh yes, it wiped out an enormous amount of the population.
You know, you expected like a city or something, but not to be as bad in somewhere.
Yeah, we only took one person
Yeah.
to be infected, and there was when they had the plague in the 1660s. There was one village where they quarantined themselves.
Yeah.
And it was brought in a roll of cloth.
Yeah.
There was lice in the cloth.
Yeah, and that's how it got in.
And that's how it got in.
Jesus.
So it's really quite a fascinating. But the population of the country crashed at that point.
God.
And it's because before then we had a lot of people were like serfs. They were owned by on the manor. And after the Black Death, that all went. And there were, the villains and all that sort of stuff all went, and people were able to move about.
How did they go about demolition in them days?
Well,
imagine you couldn't like bulldoze and back then.
Well, when this happened, the idea was it had to become uninhabitable. So basically, what Cromwell and his men did was take all the lead off the roof, all the wood, anything that was valuable, all went.
Stripped it, yeah.
Down that side is where the lay brothers lived, and the order was that the place must become uninhabitable. So originally that would have been a double-storey block, and the lay brothers would have been on the top storey, so that the roof was taken off and the floor between the two stories was taken off.
So leave it to get to the weathered
And once you take the roof off, the water can get in.
Yeah.
And of course then all the locals started ripping the stone.
Of course, you had a picture of for the houses and that.
Well, you can see it across the way. You see it in the village, in the villages around here, because there was all this dressed stone, so it was all there to the taking of. But it was bought by a local family, I think, a Welshman family, and the abbot's house, which is well over on the far side, apparently was lived in for some time afterwards.
Yeah. Now you know, they did it. Just took the roof off and then let nature do its the work for them.
Because once the roof's off, water can get in.
Was this always as rural, or was there?
Yes, it was always the Cistercian monks went for these rural areas, but of course at the time when they first came here in about 1150, it was about 70 years after William the Conqueror had come in, and they'd had what they call the harrowing of the north, and all of the villages and a lot of towns across the north of England were completely destroyed. So there wasn't a lot of infrastructure left here. So the monks themselves, they wanted somewhere that was very rural, and but this land was donated to them by Roger de Mowbray, who owned it. It was quite a boggy area, but he donated it because he was a very religious man, and in fact he died on a crusade out in the Middle East.
Right.
And so yes, they looked for these rural areas, and they also had a great many farms and things like that that were all donated and given to them over the years. So by the time the monastery was dissolved in about 1538, they got a vast amount of wealth from. They had sheep farms and grain. And if you go around and you see farms with the name Grange in the title, that's what the monastery farms were probably called Granges.
Right.
So a great many of those were probably farms owned by one of the monasteries. So there's this monastery at Byland, there's Revo, just over there, and then there's Fountains, which is near Ripon. And they were seen as these three great Cistercian monasteries in North Yorkshire. Not that it was called North Yorkshire at the time, but it was seen as a very it's sort of like this sort of triangle, almost a prayer. It was, and they were very, very valued. I mean, people knew about these monasteries. They weren't sort of secret. They were visited by royalty. It certainly seems likely that Richard II visited this monastery. He certainly visited Riva because there was a battle with Scotland, the Scots, the Battle of Byland. And it was the last battle in England where the King of Scotland and the King of England were both present.
Wow. That's
but afterwards the Scots came, and although they didn't kill the monks, they did lift quite a lot of the valuables. So,
where have they ended up? In Scotland, or is
you probably, or melted down. But when the English were up on top at Sutton Bank, and the Scots came round and they went up where Was is. There's a way up, up West Bank, and that's how they got up to Sutton Bank for the battle.
By battle. Oh wow!
So there's all the side routes, and
where did they get the stone from? Is there like a quarry nearby?
Yes, if you go to West, there is and then go up towards West Bank, there is a huge area where you can see big hollow, where it's all hollowed out, and that's where the stone came from.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Do we still mine them?
Not as far as I know. I don't think the quarries are any use anymore.
No.
They're all overgrown when I last saw
They're
them.
all overgrown. Yeah, they are indeed.
But
we don't want to rebuild this then.
No, they're not going to rebuild it. It's a ruin, and in fact, as such, the fact that bits fall off it is seen as the natural order of things. But there's no way it's ever going to be.
Sometimes you get some bits are done, like there's a priory just down the way called Mount Grace Priory, and they've redone one of the monk cells.
Yes,
so
it's been completely,
which is really quite nice. So although 20, 30 of them are all ruinous, one has been redone as it should be, and that's quite nice.
Where is it?
Mount Grace Priory, just down the A19.
Mount Grace Priory.
If you say you're going north on the A19.
Yeah, going north towards Middlesbrough and the big dual carriageway that goes up north. It's literally is off there as you go about 10 miles north. You'll see signs to it, and it's just on the side of the hill. Similar location to this, but on the northwest corner.
And they've rebuilt it all as it was.
They've done one of the cells.
Yeah, okay, one of the cells.
It's a different kind of because they had the monks lived as hermits, so they each had their own cell, and where they had their own garden where they worked.
Wow.
And so it's like a little house.
Little apartment.
Yeah.
And it's got the house because the house was bought by some American industrialists.
Oh, right.
So there is a house there as well, and gardens and things like that. And then there's the priory behind.
And how long did it take to build this building?
It's about 40 years.
40 years?
Yes. The Lay brothers who lived down there arrived first, and first thing they did was build their own apartments, and then they built.
They've done it so well, haven't they? I mean, I would have thought taking.
They did have a plan. I mean, they weren't having to sort of step it up. These monasteries like Rivo and Fountains are all built on the same sort of structural outlines. This one's different because of the window.
Yeah.
And I got shown where you can see the mason's marks on the inside.
Yeah.
From that
it must have been a huge window.
Yes, it was really a big rose window.
It is massive.
Shame it got destroyed, honestly. It'd been great to see it.
It
Yeah.
would have been magnificent in its day. When you think what most people were living in, which was wattle
Yeah,
daub with
yeah,
an earth
yeah.
roof. You know,
You know, truly believed in God.
well, they did. It was a theocracy in that way.
It was in those days.
Yeah, and if you didn't believe in God, you kept your mouth shut because the
Yeah, right.
it was
Well, you believed, yes.
you believed.
In those days, they really did believe that you either went to heaven or hell at the end of your life, and you know, the churches sold themselves on their ability to get a vast majority of people up rather than down.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
least
yeah,
that
yeah.
was their logic, and as a result, they became very wealthy and rich.
Yes.
Because of all these nice benefactors who gave them money, so they would say prayers and they would go up.
And
Hey,
Yeah.
business.
you can see some of the gravestones in the church. You know, from some of them will be abbots.
Must have paid a
but some
fortune
will
to be buried there.
Well, the trouble with, I mean, Henry VIII came along, although he initially defended the Catholic Church, which was why he's defender of the faith. Which Charles III is the defender of the faith, but not the Catholic faith anymore. They used to sell what they called indulgences,
Right,
the Catholic Church, so you could buy these indulgences, which meant that you would go to heaven even though you weren't.
You've been really bad.
You've
really
been
bad.
really bad. You could
You
sort
buy your forgiveness.
You buy forgiveness,
You
yeah.
can be really, really, really bad until the 11th hour of the 11th, you know, before you're about to drop dead. But they'd say all their prayers and they would tell you, you're going to go to heaven, you'll be fine.
Blimey. Is that still a thing today?
Well, I think it worked on the premise that actually being a peasant, particularly, it wasn't much fun being alive. When you think there's
Plague.
well, yeah, people in
Working
most
16
people
hours a
in
day.
pain in all their lives.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
teeth.
Landowners would send you to war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have no choice. You'd be rounded up. You'd be sent to war. I mean, think of the press gangs in the Navy and all that sort of stuff
Yep.
from
Yep.
1700s. If you're in a monastery, you were
Protected.
Protected.
Yeah. The monks weren't sent to war.
Every incentive to become a monk, isn't it? Then?
Yeah.
It's not a bad one.
Yeah.
Was it warm in this? Would have been warm?
No,
there?
it'd been cold. But it was everywhere was cold.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's an interesting debate.
They
If
probably
you,
were a lot warmer than they made out.
When they started off, there was just a warming room
Right.
and then the kitchen, which of course needed heat to cook. If you finish, have you just started on the site, or are
Yeah,
you,
just started.
When see where that kid I'm about to go down and shout at, where
Oh yeah.
the green tile, the red
Green
tile
tile,
building,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
red
yeah,
tile
yeah.
over the back of him. It's a museum.
Right.
If you go in there, there's a model of what the abbey looked like, and the count the chimneys.
Okay.
And it was more than two for
Right.
the warming room and the kitchen.
Oh wow.
So at the very end, at the dissolution of the monastery,
They weren't. Things were more
it
comfortable.
was a little bit warmer
Yeah,
inside the building. So things changed.
Yeah.
But it was a stone building with a roof, you know.
Yeah, it was.
And what was it? Nasty,
Gonna go cruel.
yes, nasty, brutish, and short. Being a peasant,
Hmm.
and a peasant had to be averagely good at everything
Yeah. Right.
because you had
You had to do a lot of things.
You had to
Yeah.
do everything, yes. So you had to be averagely good at being a farmer. You had to be able to
Builder.
build. You
Yeah.
name it. You had to be quite good at it.
Yeah, building anything. Yeah.
It was.
Very hard times.
It was a quite hard time, and also the monks here.
No healthcare. So if you get
No
if you get ill, you're dead.
Yeah. Well, the monks, the choir monks who were literate, they could read and write.
Right.
Probably
Latin.
probably spoke French,
Okay.
but also Latin. They were the second, third, fourth sons of noble families, because it's all very well, but only the eldest son inherited.
Right.
So if you've got all these other sons, what do you do with them? Well, they can be a right nuisance. So sticking them in the church where they're celibate.
But they could get married, couldn't
They
have
could.
kids.
Nope,
Wow.
nothing like that. So they got celibate, and they're out the way.
Yeah.
And they're also praying for the family, so that's,
Yeah.
so they are working. They're making sure you're good at working.
Fair. Hey, thank you very much. We're going to go and
Go have
do
a
a
look
tour.
round, yes.
Well, thank you much for your
That's all right,
help.
pleasure.
I'm sure I'll come back with more questions.
Yeah. Oh, so you got the boys off the wall yet?
Not-
Some of
not
the
quite.
walls are a bit. We had a few stones fell off a couple of days ago. So
Oh, no.
even if you're feeling inspired to climb on the walls,
Don't
we don't advise it because they do fall down occasionally.
Yeah, benefit of our time is you've got healthcare, so
Yes, we do have help.
Well, thank you very much.
Brothers. Rere? What's Rere daughter?
Don't know. Rare daughter. No idea. Refectory and infirmary. The arched niche through the doorway in front of you.
Question.
What?
I thought they didn't have infirmary.
Well, it would be very rudimentary. But I'm looking for the arched niche. Is it the arched niche there? I don't really know, to be honest. Oh, is that? Oh, is it there? I don't know.
Must be that one.
The doorway in front of you is Lay Brothers Lane, which is separated from the monks' cloister by a high wall. This and other niches in this lane were probably used by the brothers for silent prayer. And they were generally illiterate, spent most of their time working on the Abbey's extensive estates. They organised a system of farms called granges. The West Range was built in around 1165 and was the first building to be completed at the Abbey, which would allow the lay brothers to assist in the completion of the other buildings ready for the arrival of the monks in 1177. By the 14th century, the lay brothers had ceased to be a significant part of the community. The West Range was then used as storerooms. Interesting. Alright,
Byland.
that's it folks for our trip to the two abbeys up north. But as mentioned before, there's 3 abbeys. Fountain Abbey, Byland Abbey and Rivo Abbey. Thank you, someone's paying attention. And they formed the 3 main religious centres in north of England. It wasn't called England at the time, and maybe it was actually 13th century. Well, maybe towards the later part of the 14th or 13th century, maybe it would have been called England. But yeah, well, that's it for today. I will see you guys in the next video. So goodbye.